The final part of our session is going to be where we really put the conference back into your hands. And so I know many of you are sitting with your colleagues at the same table, so if that's your comfort zone, I'm sorry, we're going to shake it up a little bit. We're going to ask you to go into 5 different groups, and Claudia's going to come up on stage and talk about a little bit what is next. So Claudia is actually a past chair of the Greater Des Moines Inclusion Council, so she just stepped down a couple of months ago when Amanda Banks took over of Wellmark. So I'm going to bring her up to the stage right now. Something a little bit more about her as well is that, I have to read this or else I'll get it wrong. So Claudia Schaebel is actually of Schaebel Solutions, a consulting firm focused on strategies to recruit, retain, and leverage a diverse workforce. So I think that's very timely because some people have been coming up to me asking me questions about those who have really modeled the way and then trying to figure out how they could best challenge the process. So Claudia would be a great person to start those conversations with you as well. So with that, I'll bring Claudia to the stage.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for making the time for this meaningful conversation. I think so far we have had a great morning, haven't we? Great. So this is the portion of the program that we put you to work. Are you ready? So let's just summarize a few things that we have talked about this morning, and I'll reference my notes. We heard from John and Rana about Wellmark's shared vision of inclusion and how it has become second nature. Wouldn't you want to walk out of a room of an effort and say, this is now second nature to us, so how do you make it work? And again, inclusion is that sense of community, sense of belonging that all of us want to have. So you have to define that for your own organization. Secondly, we had the hard facts and data that Phil and Marvin presented to us today about the high unemployment rate of African Americans, not only in the state of Iowa, unfortunately, but in the whole country. What are we going to do about it? And then this wonderful dialogue of civility that Heather and Donna were able to lead us into. So now what we want to do is to split this audience into 5 groups. And before we do that, and I give you instructions, I'd like for our Diversity Council members to stand up. Excellent. Thank you. Our council members are going to help facilitate the dialogue. They have some questions that they're going to be sharing with each one of the tables. They're going to take notes, and after 20 minutes, we're going to share one idea per table. We're calling it a big idea, but it can be any insights and input that your table decides that wants to share with the larger group. And what I'd like to do is to have the council members choose an area where you'd like to congregate, where your group is going to be at, so folks can move their stuff or just walk up to your table. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. But very briefly, start thinking about what can you do from an individual perspective, from an organizational perspective, but what are some ideas that you can generate so you can help impact the unemployment rate of underutilized talent. Underutilized talent are not only the underrepresented groups, but anyone who's underemployed. And in our community, they are the African Americans, minority groups, veteran groups, people with disabilities, and so forth. Okay, hurry up. We're going to get started. So 30 seconds per person. And as you're presenting, I would like for you to say your name, what company you work for, and dive right into your idea or the idea that you're sharing on behalf of your table. So let's start with the homeless and poverty group. Who is representing that group? Very good.
Good morning, my name is Renee Sedlacek. I work at Drake University, and in the homelessness and poverty group, knowing that change starts with ourselves, starts with us. What are we doing in our businesses, our corporate entities, to look at the hiring practices, to look at our policies, to remove the barriers that are preventing marginalized groups on the screen from obtaining the employment? Because oftentimes, poverty stems from a lack of employment or the resources, hence homelessness as well. So change has to start with us and looking at what we're doing that's actually part of the problem.
Great. Thank you, Renee. Now, we need a representative from the immigrant and refugee group. Please step forward.
Hello, my name is Ida Wood. I'm with Nationwide Insurance. So our group actually had a very organic conversation. A lot of us, not all, are immigrants or refugees from other countries. The biggest point, I think, and our stories came out was just to continue to talk about it, to continue to say and work through those biases. So my last name now is Wood. My maiden last name is Haji Suleimanovic. So a lot of times I get, geez, you don't look Bosnian, or you don't appear to be Bosnian, or you don't appear to be such and such. So just continue to ask those questions in a very polite way, of course, but not being afraid to share your story with everybody around you.
Thank you. Do we have a person to speak on behalf of ex-offenders? There are two groups. Okay, please go first.
Okay, so we are going to cheat. Well, first of all, I'm Lindsay Canaday from Bankers Trust, and our group of ex-offenders, we actually had two ideas, so we're going to share those very quickly. So our first idea was to create a better connection between Iowa businesses and our penal system. There are programs like Central Iowa Works that we could support, and other ways that we can create a connection between the two of us to help. And then the other thing, our other idea was to eliminate the term ex-offender. It is a very broad term, and it doesn't create a very positive presentation on applications.
Very good. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Hardman with Hardman Consulting, and we have an ex-offender group. Will my group please stand real quick as I represent our dialogue and discussion led by Robin Jenkins. And we had a whole lot of discussion, some of which was shared earlier, but we learned that there is a group of folks that facilitate reverse job fairs. And I had not heard that, but it is a job opportunity where folks with disabilities or ex-offenders or folks that have offended in the past, they come to the fair to present themselves and their background and what they can offer and how their lives have changed and what impact they can make on various companies. And various business leaders or communities sit and listen to those and invite them to the table. I think it's a creative idea. We would encourage companies to take advantage of that opportunity to participate in reverse jobs fair discussions where they're exposed to the excitement and energy that some of these individuals can bring to the table and can bring to their companies.
Thank you. Veterans.
We had three.
Three.
So there was a lot of people talking about ex-offenders, probably because we have some corrections people here. My name is Mark Roberts. I'm the Deputy Warden at Iowa State Penitentiary, and along with veterans and other areas of need, we talked a lot about offenders. The biggest idea we came up with was bridging that gap between the community and the correctional system. A lot of people don't know, we usually open our doors to anybody who's willing to assist the offenders that we have. Our ultimate goal is to get them out, have them be successful in the community, get them gainfully employed so they're not coming back to us. So there's a big drive to open up those communication venues between private industry, our central office, which can be here in Des Moines, which can branch out to any of the institutions in the state.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now is the veterans group, right?
Yes, my name is Corey Kelly, and appropriately, I'm an unemployed veteran, so I feel like I can represent this group. We had a great discussion in the back, and a couple of things that came out of our conversation is first, there's a quantifiable and a stigma associated with bringing veterans into an organization that we really need to work on removing. that stigma associated with veterans and bringing them into the workforce. They're powerful vehicles for change and transformation. And one of the ways that we identified employers can help change this is through education and understanding, and joining the governor in his campaign to create the Home Base Iowa, and becoming a Home Base Iowa employer would go a long way to supporting that end.
Great, thank you.
Where are my HR employers in the room? Please raise your hand. HR employers? Okay, let's have conversations with them after this, okay?
Another group for veterans.
Well, I'm Steve Altman, and I work for the Iowa National Guard. And we had a great deal of dialogue at our table, but really the core issue, and there are a number of programs that are addressing it, but the issue becomes the translation, and the translation between the military language, duties and responsibilities, translating that to the employer so that they understand what that person has done in the past, what their experience has been, but also then making sure that the job bulletins that are put out, or the advertisement for jobs on the employer side, are also such that the population that we represent, the veterans, can understand that as well. And programs like Home Base Iowa and a number of others are working to do that, because a lot of the issues that we run into is that neither side understands the experience or the desires of the other. And that's an important thing that has to occur in order to address this issue.
Great, thank you.
Hi again, everybody. This is Heather. I represent the group in the back, so wave, put your hands in the air back here. We talked about veterans, and we realized in our conversation that you really can't talk about it in a bubble. It's really all about the intersectionality. And again, I'm a disruptor. I can't follow directions. So we have three things that we're going to do. We're going to keep this simple. We're going to show support, whether that be through conversations or working with our internal groups, or putting up a little sign at our desk or something. But we're going to make a sign and show support for our veteran community. We're going to help with the translation or the transformation into the workforce and with resumes. So we're going to take a look at our processes internally. And then we're going to leverage resources that exist, whether it's Home Base Iowa, we talked about Hire Our Heroes, or ESGR. Becky, you're going to get a lot of calls from this table over here. So Becky's raising her hand. She's back there. We're going to leverage those three things. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
We had the topic with persons with disabilities. That's my group right there. We had a couple great ideas as far as things that they're actually implementing in some of their businesses currently, but a great idea to actually have a different way of interviewing. So they actually come in and they perform the job or have a work job performance type of interview rather than always soft skills. So we thought that was a great idea. And the other opportunity would be to offer opportunities to come in and do internships with real life work experience or job shadowing with another individual, to give that person an opportunity to prove to you that they can do that job rather than just basis of that interview process.
Very good, thank you. Two more groups to present, yes?
One behind you.
One behind me. I am so sorry, please go ahead.
My name is Alfonso Robinson. I'm currently involved with getting out the vote across the country. After the election, we'll be looking at some of the HR people. So, I'm with the group of the individuals with disabilities. This group right here, and we mainly talked about education and awareness. A big part is the outreach to individuals that would like to work, that need retraining and rehabilitation and accommodations in the workplace. We talked about the processes of educating them at colleges or in other institutions, and making sure that you tie the work opportunities with the individual, and not assuming that individuals cannot do the work. We talked about a lot of biases. People are not really aware of some of their biases that they have. And this group, I mean, we concur with what you said about in the interviewing. Sometimes those simple things that they expect you to do when you come to an interview, the way you look, the way you communicate, not everybody's going to be able to do that. But that doesn't mean that they're not able to do the job. So that's pretty much what we were thinking about.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. I've always wanted to do this. Earlier this week, my name is Delano Maxwell, and I'm with Project Iowa. I am a recruiter and a facilitator. My class earlier this week was 6 students, 300 plus. I've made it, just so you know. The table I'm representing is this group over here. We were like all over the place. Before I walked up here, I said, what subject? What's the group? They said homelessness and poverty. The conclusion that we came to sort of is based on a statement that I heard earlier today, and it was from a member of our table. And she said, listen to learn rather than listening to speak. And as an educated group, this audience, we're very educated. What I need you to take from this is, in order for us to reach the youth, we have to accept that it's their turn. It's their turn to govern. It's their turn to lead, regardless of what we believe they should do. We need to listen to them rather than inflict our way, because it's no longer our turn. Rather than inflict our way upon them, understand that they text and they drive, and they're good at it. They text in class, and they still comprehend. It's just against our way. And we want to punish them, and we want to kick them out, and we want to tell them what they can't do, rather than just listen and accept and learn from what they are showing us. And then you'll be able to reach them. We also concluded at our table that it was all about relationships. But you have to listen and build on that concept of relationships. One-on-ones, 1-on-6, but you have to listen. And if we listen, we'll learn. And as we learn, we'll accept that it's their turn. But if we don't listen, then we have to accept that the bar for quality has been lowered in our minds. We have to accept that the demand for the people who we need as employees will be higher than the supply. But yet we hire them anyway. We can't get around them. So just listen and learn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm Brandon Pollard with the Young Professionals Connection. I was with the Immigrant and Refugee group, and clearly I should have insisted on speaking before that gentleman, because now... But our big idea coming out of our conversation was really that we should all just be working on getting personally involved in building relationships with individuals from the various immigrant and refugee communities in our larger community, and that building those relationships is really that offers that support and helps build those mentorships and helps get people into the situations where they need to be to succeed.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for engaging in this activity, contributing to the conversation, and the conversation will go on. As I mentioned, and Nathan also mentioned this at the beginning of this program, we intend to take action on some of the recommendations that are action specific and take them into consideration for deliverables and goals for the Inclusion Council of the Greater Des Moines Partnership. So I wanted to commend you for participating. Thank you. And if there are any questions, I think you can always reach out to Nathan with additional feedback or questions as to what is going on. I also wanted to mention that Mary Bontrager asked me to share with you that for those of you that had questions about best practices, the recipients of the Inclusion Award of the Greater Des Moines Partnership have been outstanding in sharing best practices. The Inclusion Council actually serves as a platform for that exchange of ideas and best practices, and many of those recipients sit on the council. So the council is a great opportunity for you to start those conversations and the journey that you are about to embark on. So thank you for your time, and I'll turn things over to Nathan. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you. Before you leave, Claudia, you may have seen me handing gifts to our presenters today, and I just wanted to share with the audience what that was. It's one of the sculptures downtown in the Sculpture Garden. It's actually my favorite sculpture, so I'm glad I was able to help pick this look this year. And on the back it says, Untitled, 3 Dancing Figures, version C, sculpture by Keith Haring. And this sculpture of Keith Haring is actually my all-time favorite in Des Moines. I've been a fan of Haring since I was in elementary school. This is from me, obviously. The sculpture is a nod by Haring to his love for 80s music, club culture, and dancing. I especially enjoy how it represents 3 completely different people coming together to celebrate. The rest of the story is up to your interpretation. So these are the thank you awards that we're giving to all of our presenters today. Thank you, Claudia. To take off with what Claudia just left you, some of our more recent Inclusion Award winners, Bankers Trust, Nationwide, Des Moines University, Easter Seals, and Viridian Credit Union are perfect examples of the individuals that you could tap. Our entire list is on our website, DesMoinesMetro.com, underneath Business Resources, Diversity and Inclusion. Small plug there. So I hope you like the format of our forum this year. I've already received a lot of feedback, and it has all been positive, except maybe we could have refilled the coffee a little faster. So definitely, please keep the feedback coming. I want to hear from you. So we did something a little bit different this year with it, is that we had only local presenters. So we did that intentionally. These individuals best know our climate, they know our culture, and they know our community, and that's where we could begin to take action. So as Andrew Weekly already said, that, you know, we're always preaching to the choir here, so I have to send you off with a couple of next steps and action items. So I want to leave you with a couple of quotes first. Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success, and that's from Henry Ford. From there, every day I go into work, I have a goal. So as you know, I work for many different parts of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and workforce inclusion is one of my special focus areas and a passion of mine. So every day I come into work and I have goals in the back of my mind. These aren't just goals for that day, like I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to complete this, I have to get my credit card report done. Those type of things. These are long-term goals. And this is one of my 3 goals that I come into work with every single day. My goal every day is to create an even more inclusive region, one where no one ever feels left out. I need you to take that journey with me. It's not something that I could do on my own. I can get in front of you and I could talk and I could bring these workshops along with my amazing council members in the community, but this is a message that you have to carry forward as well. You have to be the catalyst within your community, within your circle of friends, within your employer, to make sure that you're not just modeling the way, but you're also challenging the process. It's a constant theme that I keep saying if you haven't noticed that. We do have several inclusion magazines on the way out, so I do encourage you to take a stack of those and litter your campus with them, give them to your friends and family. We have several hundred copies out there, and they are free. If you need some for your employer, contact me and I can get those to you. Otherwise, you can grab them on the way out. We have plenty of copies out there. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and have a wonderful day.